Hello folks, Jonathan Milam here. I've got four vintage trumpets, and I honestly think they are four vintage cornets, and I honestly think they are four of the best cornets ever made. Going to start off with a Conn 28A Constellation type horn. I believe it was a medium bore, they called it, about 448. However, you get into quite a big bell. I think that's got a 5 1/4 inch flare. Then we're going to go to an Olds Super Cornet. Very interesting cornet. Then one of my favorites, I think it's one of the most underrated cornets you can find. This is the Olds Special. Heavy nickel silver, thick nickel silver bell here with a bronze tip. And lastly, and probably my favorite of all of them, is the Olds Recording Cornet. I don't think they've made a better cornet. Don't think they can make a better cornet personally. Okay, going to try three mouthpieces. Going to start off with the fairly shallow, I don't want to say a lead, but if you're going to do Dixieland, this would be a great piece. It's an Olds 3C. Fairly deep cup. It's certainly not a screech. However, it's not a C cup. They might call it a modified V. Tight throat. You've got about a 28 to 29 throat on this thing. Okay, going to start off with the Conn 28A in the order that we just mentioned them. Going to play an old church course to start off with. When We All Get to Heaven. Got a nice little bounce to it. I think you'll enjoy it. First, the Conn 28A, which some people call the greatest cornet ever made. Man, that's so good, I felt like playing the verse. I was raised in church, went to church at one point 5 services a week. So that's where I learned how to play the French horn was what I played in school. But I got out and then we switched to trumpet. Olds Super, great little instrument. They say Ryan Kaiser here a while back really took a liking to these. You can see the tone band there. And now, I will say this, most all of these super cornets, you've got the first slide intonation pull, and there's nothing on the third slide. However, they usually have a lyre holder here, which is far enough up on the third slide, it can't be used for intonation. Someone on this one wisely moved this lyre piece onto the mobile third slide and got an extra long pull. So this one has a first and third intonation. Very interesting. One more thing I'll mention. I can't sell either my Olds Super Cornet or recording because the first slide is interchangeable. So I can put this first slide on my Olds Recording Cornet. It's got a trigger. And then I also have first and third intonation devices on my Olds recording. At any rate, a little bit more of a trumpet sound than most cornets, but still a very, very interesting and very fun horn to play. With the Olds 3, the Olds Super Cornet. Very, very fun horn to play. Now I mentioned the Olds Special. almost certainly the most affordable of these instruments. I've always liked this. It was one of the first horns that I bought when I started making my comeback to playing trumpets in my mid-40s. It's 100 years ago. But still one of the nicest horns, very complex sound with the thick nickel silver bell, and then on the flare, the bronze tip. Olds Special. All right, you'd usually think nickel silver, think, man, that's going to be a lead horn, and it would have that tendency. But the bronze tip, I think, just gives it a bit of a mellow piece. I like the Olds Special cornets. I've had some great Olds Special trumpets, but to me the cornet is special. Now, Olds recording, very short, because this, all of this, is essentially the bell. You've got your bell that wraps all the way around, and even compared to the Super, you can see how much shorter the Olds recording is. And if you compared it to, and this is kind of a trumpet wrap that the Constellation has, but you can see how much shorter the recording is than most horns that we play today. Got a very much in-close feel. Reverse trigger, so you pull and it shoots the trigger out. Okay, same thing when we all get to heaven with the Olds 3 on superb cornet, the Olds recording. Really like this. Okay, going to go straight to the medium mouthpiece. Now, generally with cornets, you're not going to want to play a shallow piece. You'd want something a little deeper. In fact, I've got a lot of mouthpieces here. I've got a great box 7, straight 7, and I've got some good Curry pieces. In fact, I'll play one, a nice Warburton, an excellent Conn piece. Of course, the silver's all gone, which is kind of a bummer. But great pieces. Now, I'm going to use one GR and I'm going to use one Curry. The GR is what GR, I think they consider this a soloist mouthpiece. Fairly deep, probably a modified V cup and a slightly enlarged throat back bore as well. This is their 3, the GR3, and we'll start with the Conn 28A. Years ago, when I was just making my comeback, I remember I was watching a lot of vids, reading a lot at trumpetherald.com, trying to get as well versed on instruments as I could. And I remember Trent Austin saying the 28A, the Conn 28A, he said one of the most mouthpiece sensitive instruments there is. I'll do a vid on this horn before long to probably use, 8 or 9 mouthpieces. and it really is very mouthpiece sensitive. Okay, this is the Olds Super, and every horn is mouthpiece sensitive, but some seem more so than others. This is the Olds Super with the GR number 3 cornet mouthpiece. All right, straight to the very special Olds Special. Yep, gotta get that talking mic off. I like that. Isn't that kind of a complex sound? You'd think it'd be a very piercing sound, just mellowed a little bit with that bronze tip. And of course, the Olds recording. So fun. Years ago, I was in a little school, and one of the teachers that I admired greatly, Pastor Robert Sabin, was playing a cornet one time, and I told him afterwards, I said, boy, that was nice. He had several Schilke horns. Would go down and speak to Mr. Schilke, spend some time with him, said he was very, very cordial. And he said, you liked my old pea shooter, did you? And his feeling was as he got older, he enjoyed the cornet more. Maybe that's why I'm liking these. Back to the 28A, I'm going to go to a favorite mouthpiece of mine. Love this. It is the Curry VC. Stands for Vintage Cornet. Quite a deep V-ish type mouthpiece. And a throat of about 19 drill, I believe it is. Mark Curry made this to give it a little bit of a breathy sound, which many people feel was what they were trying to get with the deep cornet mouthpieces that a lot of the great old soloists used. All right, so the Courage Vintage Cornet mouthpiece on Conn's 28A. I like that sound. I've always liked that sound, and still like it. Okay, the Olds Super. And if you want to compare these, of course there's going to be 12 pieces that I've played, 4 horns, 3 different mouthpieces. If you'll hit the More button at the bottom of the comments, it'll open the page up You can go down below. I'll have all of these timed out, and you can go directly from one horn to another, minus the talking, and get to compare just exactly how these horns sound. If you just like the 28A, you can skip from 1 to 5 to, what would it be, 9, and just listen to that. Whatever you like, there's several options. And again, that's if you hit the more below. If you're interested in any horns, I don't think any of these will be for sale, but I most always have something for sale. The first line will be a link to trumpetherald.com, where I usually advertise my horns. All right, back to the Olds Super with the Curry Vintage Cornet mouthpiece. No wonder a lot of soloists like that Olds Super. I think Trent used to say it's one of the few cornets that he kept on hand. He did like the Olds Super as a soloist. Okay, one of my faves is the Old Special with the Curry Vintage Cornet mouthpiece. And last, but certainly not least, the lovely little Olds recording cornet with Mark Curry's great mouthpiece, the Curry VC Vintage Cornet. There is one other cornet that I wish I had with me, and that is a Conn 38A, and it is a short constellation, large bore, where this is, and of course cornets are considered conical or cone-like instruments. They start with a small lead pipe and they grow consistently larger until you get to the bell. Trumpets usually are tubular. They start off fairly consistently until they make their leaps. But the cornets get gradually easier. I think for a lot of people that are older, that's one reason that they seem so easy to play, because they are easy here. And a lot of young trumpeters that are at their maximum peak get a little bit stuffed when they play the cornet, because you do have a tighter lead pipe area here. But at any rate, the Conn 28A is arguably the most highly regarded cornet possibly ever made. And the Olds recording has got a lot of aficionados itself. I always enjoy making these videos. Hope you enjoy them as well. I know I do talk a lot between them, hopefully sharing some at least somewhat interesting information. As always, we do appreciate the thumbs up. Take care of yourself and someone near you.